Good morning. My name is Lauren Birney. I'm coming to speak to you from New York City, Manhattan, New York City, New York Harbor. Thanks so much for listening to me today, talking to you today about a project funded by the National Science Foundation, integrating environmental restoration science with computer science in New York City public schools within New York Harbor phases 2 and 3. We have a list of partners that I will be going through as well, but I'd like to show you a few slides to get us started. This is New York Harbor. Many of you have probably been to New York City. It still looks the same, fortunately. We're all recovering from this pandemic, but at the same time moving forward with our lives. It still remains very beautiful, however, the waterways are somewhat polluted. That's the reason for our project. There were 5 components of the original grant, which began in 2014: the teacher training, the student curriculum, the digital platform, after-school programs, and community exhibits. Many of these involve students ages 6 through 16. New York City public school students participate in programs that support science, environmental restoration science, computer science, and STEM. There are currently, within our design, 5 pillars. These 5 pillars focus on teachers, students, citizen scientists, volunteers, mentors, and each pillar focuses on a specific area: teacher training, student curriculum, a digital platform, some after-school mentoring, as well as community exhibits within New York City. As you can see, we have a very diverse population. These are some of our students and teachers that work with us within New York City public schools. The program itself has a research and evaluation plan that's constantly being revised in terms of making sure that the project is moving in the correct pathway and the correct trajectory. This slide here outlines that specifically. I won't go into detail, but the slides will be available at the end, and should you have any questions in regards to that, I'm certainly happy to answer those for you. Pillar 1 deals with teacher trainings, where the teachers actually get to go out into New York Harbor with staff, with scientists, with faculty, with mentors, with STEM professionals to work and experience STEM career exploration, so that they can then take this experience back into the classroom for the students. The research itself is conducted within New York Harbor, and teachers and students are taking measurements throughout New York Harbor, which is then shared onto our digital platform. As you can see, the students here, they have a presentation at the end of the term. This is called the STEM Symposium. It's held on Governor's Island. Students bring their work to share with each other, share with the community, share with teachers and researchers alongside them. We usually have between 600 and 800 students in a normal year. Lately, it's been a virtual experience, and we have about 200 students that participate in this program. The ability for students to conduct research and then write about it is very valuable at such a young age, in middle school, ages 8 to 10 here. Pillar 2, the student curriculum, computer science, data science, STEM career exploration. Students get to actually experience the possible career paths that they may be interested in. The curriculum itself is focused on supporting data science, computer science, computational thinking, and within the lens of environmental science. Students here, as you can see, then present their work at that symposium that they conduct throughout the entire school year and come together with one another to share their experiences. Pillar 3 is the STEM Institute, which is held at Pace University in New York City. Students get to attend a symposium which allows for students to experience not only career paths within the STEM fields, but also learn how to code and learn various software such as Python, etc., and then put together a presentation that they share with one another. Again, this is held virtually for the last 2 years, but now normally is held in person, so that students may go to sites such as Microsoft, Google, AT&T, Time Warner, etc., to experience what opportunities exist in that field, both at low level, middle level, and high level. These are the students. As you can see, the cages are very large. There was an exhibit that was done the other day on the Today Show, and it was extremely difficult for even some adults to pull this up, but they're very stalwart with what they do. The digital platform, as I mentioned, is the central tech hub for our work. This hub houses all of the information that the students upload in terms of the research, oyster measurements, pH measurements, salinity, etc., that's taken at the various STEM hubs. It's then analyzed within the classrooms and uploaded to the digital platform. Citizen scientists also upload information, and then there is a monitoring group to make sure that that information that's being uploaded is actually correct. This was built by Fearless Solutions in Baltimore. We are continuing to revise the digital platform to make it more user-friendly, and with the hopes that this model itself is replicable elsewhere, not only in the United States, but outside of the United States. The digital platform, as you can see, houses information such as education, symposium, data, our surveys, the data and information that comes from those surveys, the research and evaluation components. We also put up all of the students' symposiums so that students have access to other students so they can see the work that's actually being done here in New York Harbor. We also work with STEM labs. These STEM labs allow for students and teachers to experience conducting research within a lab setting. We range from California State University, Monterey Bay to Urban Barcode Project here in New York City, and do some bacterial monitoring with the New York City Water Trails and the Hudson River Park Trust. The fourth pillar deals with the STEM training hubs. STEM training hubs allow for students to go out on boats and do their measurements. As you can see here, this is under the Brooklyn Bridge, which maybe some of you have been to. The teachers themselves also are part of this project in terms of conducting the research. They're out here and they use sondes and various types of sonar to conduct their research as well. So it's a very integrated and participatory activity. The feedback that we've received so far from the project allows for students to have a wider experience in terms of gaining the exposure to STEM fields that they would not normally have. And the idea behind this project is to allow students not only to have that exposure, but to become enamored with the idea of working in these STEM fields. So being able to participate and be an active participant in these activities is extremely important to all of us. We hope that as this project continues to grow, that there is the potential for a STEM Learning Center in Oyster Park, whether that's located in Red Hook or Governor's Island. We're still looking to grow this project given the impact that we had. We started out with a very minor impact, 5,600 students, 127 teachers, and 110 volunteers, and I will speak later as to how that's grown. As you can see, one of the biggest components of an NSF grant is making sure that you have the deliverables, the intellectual merit, and broadening participation that is required for the project, especially given the large magnitude of this project. Those include curriculum for middle school teachers, field science manual, projects, white papers, scholarly publications and articles, presentations, symposia, videos, digital monitoring platforms, permanent displays within New York City, STEM teacher training model, a STEM mentoring model, restoration-based community science model, and mobile applications and tech hubs. The computational thinking and computer science component I want to speak to a little bit here. This involves teaching students how to think, how to prepare, how to think beyond what's on the paper while you're out in the field as well as in the classroom. And this is sometimes a component that's lacking within education itself, so it's become very paramount for us as well. Some of the impacts that we're seeing is this idea of community science, citizen science, and allowing the community itself to become ignited around an idea, a concept in terms of making that community better, which is cleaning New York Harbor's water. So this has been part of the reason for the success of this project. And the same vein, this can be replicated elsewhere for similar issues within a variety of communities. This here is an example of the exhibit. This exhibit is at the New York Aquarium in Coney Island, Brooklyn, New York. And you can see the students getting ready to go out on the boat. It's quite an undertaking, but they're very, very excited as they go out and experience these types of opportunities. All precautions for pandemic have been taken. These were pre-pandemic photos. If you do not see masks on, the photos come from pre-pandemic. There's also virtual opportunities for people to participate on driving boats, learning how to navigate the waters, as well as going to the exhibit and participating in opportunities that go beyond what the project offers itself. There's also a larger project that's happening off of the Staten Island coast in New York City, and they're continuing to build living breakwaters so that Superstorm Sandy would not come again to this part of New York City and create the havoc that happened previously. You can see that the level of water is fairly deep, so students are required to do a lot of precautionary measures prior to going out into the water, but this is a photo. You can see JFK in the background, so those of you that have flown into New York City may have experienced that as well. In terms of future impacts, we hope that this is a drawing designed by Scape Architecture, in which students will be able to participate within the water itself with growing reefs and docks and things in which not only students but the community itself would be able to play a role in helping New York Harbor to maintain its cleanliness. The slide is an example of pandemic with everybody with their mask on and how we've had to move things outdoors and adapt to the various modalities of learning. These are teachers at a teacher training in Brooklyn. We also do a lot of events promoting the work, trying to get the word out in terms of the Billion Oyster Project and the New York Harbor School, sharing the information that the students are doing, and we allow the students to do that directly. Another drawing of the hopes of a hub that would exist off Staten Island and allow for not only students but the community itself to be integrated into that research and making sure that the water remains clean. These are again some of our teachers putting in cages off of Brooklyn. The staff that leads the project is the Billion Oyster Project. As I mentioned, they take the people out into these areas and allow for the field research to take place. In terms of a future impact, we would love to see collaborative models that will be able to be replicated such as this and allow for students as well as faculty and researchers to come together in a collaborative. The impact today is 11,000 students, 250 teachers, the digital platform, 84 waterfront locations, and 4 labs. It continues to grow. This is a sample of our students within the STEM Institute when we used to meet in person. It feels like it's so long ago as I look at this photo. The STEM-C project outputs, as you can see, we have impacts within the science curriculum, within the various communities within New York City, such as the STEM hubs, and these are all the numbers that relate to those specific. And this is the iTest project, similarly, which allows for the integration within a community, all working towards one common goal, which is to clean New York City water. Thank you kindly for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. If you have any questions, my information is here. I'm certainly happy to speak to you and talk further at any point in time. Thank you again. Wishing you all a lovely day.